Valencia with the 1-1 pitch. Newbar gets under this one. High fly ball center field. That should do it. Pete Crow Armstrong is there. He has it. This ball game has come to an end. The Cubs shut out the Cardinals 11-0.
That's how it ended tonight. It is the Extra Innings show. It's presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. I'm Joe Pott. Cardinals fall in this one 11-0, and it felt like they were out of it pretty quick, pretty early tonight, and kind of the similar problems. Tough time with a tough left-hander in Matthew Boyd, and a really non-competitive start again from Eric Fetty, and that's certainly alarming for this team that really I saw a stat just a couple days ago. When you look at the teams that have used the fewest starters, the Cardinals have used they might have been tied for first. I think it's 7 total starters this year. You've got the 5 in the rotation, Steven Matz, and then Michael McGreevy has also made starts this year. But my point there is they've used a minimal amount of starters because they have a minimal amount of starters. And you heard that if you heard our network post-game show from Oliver Marmol talking about where do you decide that you're no longer wanting to kind of protect or shield Matthew or Michael McGreevy, I should say. And I think that time is probably upon us. And I think that there has to be something there when you look at the starts that Eric Fetty and Miles Michaelis have given you over the last couple of weeks. You want to get in? You can talk about it, 314-436-7900. Happy to do that. You can also jump right on the socials, whether it's Facebook or X or YouTube. We're right there. You can check in on the stream live and drop a comment right there, and we can talk about this one. We can commiserate about this one and lament the things that didn't go the Cardinals' way. I think about sitting here a week ago on that Sunday afternoon after the Cardinals had that comeback win against, no, I'm sorry, the Sunday afternoon was the 7-0 shutout win against the Guardians. The Cardinals were sitting 9 games over the 500 mark. They were 2.5 out of first, and they were getting set to go to Pittsburgh for a 3-game series. Little did we know that things would unravel in that series. And then, of course, you dropped 2 out of 3 to the Cubs in this series. So the road trip started out so positive and went downhill pretty darn quick for the Redbirds as they fall in this one tonight. Don is first up on KMOX tonight. Don, you're on the Extra Innings show.
Nice to be able to talk to you, Mr. Joe Pott.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Here's the comments I've got here. I think the Cardinals have to go to Michael McGreevy. They need to cut ties with Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty. And I'm a big Arnado fan, but something tells me he might be done at age 34. And Newport is overrated. And I like to see the Cardinals go out and get a couple superstars. Because right now, you got one player, Donovan, that went to the All-Star game as a reserve. This Cardinal team doesn't have a superstar. And this is on the ownership, DeWitts. I mean, the DeWitts don't spend any money, Joe. And basically, I think the Cardinal fans are tired of it. They don't spend no money. And they'll be lucky if they win 75 games if they go with the same starting pitcher with Fetty and who's the other guy, Miles Michaelis. I'd like to hear your comments. I'll hang up and listen to your comments, Joe.
I appreciate it, Don. Thanks for the call. I think that that Don kind of echoes what a lot of people would like to see. I think so. Let's start with the rotation first of all, because Ali Marmol did address that in the post game when he was asked about when does that decision get made, specifically about Michael McGreevy, right? Because he is the obvious choice to take a spot in this rotation right now. I actually looked to see, could Michael McGreevy come up and take this start tonight? He would have been on regular rest. He actually did pitch tonight, and I hate to say it, he got shelled tonight pitching against Nashville at AAA. He went 3 innings, gave up 8 earned runs. However, the difference there is even with that shelling, he's 8-2 with a 3.2 ERA. So he's had a much better time of it. I do think that I fully expect that decision to be made, that he's going to be in the rotation next time around. As we have the published rotation for the Nationals series, it is Palante, Gray, and Michaelis. And again, McGreevy right now is right on the same schedule that Eric Fetty is. I would expect that he would be back up here. I think that at this point, and I think you saw it last year, he had a full AAA season. He finished the year in the bigs with 5 or 6 starts, whatever it was. And I think that I feel like you have got a good idea that this guy is ready, like full season ready, because a lot of times what you see is you see guys that are up against the most innings they've pitched in a year or in their career. And I think that he sort of passed that test last year. Now if you have sheltered him at all, I think that probably I would expect him to come up and take the spot in the rotation. We'll see about that. Now, for acquiring a couple of big bats, wherever those are, or superstars, whatever, however you would define that, I think the question becomes, where do you get those? How are you getting those guys? Because obviously everybody would like to add some sort of impact at the deadline if they have the opportunity to add that. But it's not like you just go pluck them out of a field somewhere. You're going to have to give up something. You're going to also have to have a match. So you have to find someone that has a superstar willing to give. You've got to give something up for it. And you've got to find, I guess, a superstar that's on a team that's not really in contention. All of those things have to work out. And I think that just remains to be seen. I do think that if the Cardinals are in a spot of contention, that they will make a move. They'll try to do something to improve this team. John Mozeliak said this morning on Camo X, on Sports on a Sunday with Tom Ackerman, that he said the biggest question is, what's that move? And that's, I think, the question that we're asking is, what do you do? How do you acquire those guys? It's not like you're going to go, you just go to the Cubs and say, hey, we'd like to have one of your superstars. I mean, you look at their lineup, and I don't think it's not hard to see where the differences come when you look at an outfield that has Crow Armstrong out there and Kyle Tucker out there, Ian Happ's out there today. Then you've got Seiya Suzuki, who leads Major League Baseball in RBIs. It's just a completely different looking lineup, a different. Not even looking. It's just a different lineup than you even have the ability to put out as the Cardinals. Now, you are without Ivan Herrera, who was your best offensive performer. You are without Arenado, and I realize that he's not the same Arenado, but he is a right-handed bat that changes the dynamic of your lineup when he's in there, and he's been out for 2 days. So I understand everything that Don said, and I think that's the reason why we're talking about a team that has been so streaky this year, that has gone on these big runs, both good and bad, and that's because of basically the things that they're lacking. And they're lacking a couple more top-end starters. They're certainly lacking the superstar power. I don't think there's any question that's been the case for a couple of years. They just haven't had a superstar in this lineup. So I appreciate the call, Don. Thanks for getting in on Extra Innings tonight. If you want to get in like Don did, 314-436-7900, or as I said, easy enough, just jump on the socials. We're right there. Our stream is up. I've got some comments here, and I can get through some of these comments. First one, talking about Eric Fetty, said, despite being this bad, could potentially still fetch at least a lower level prospect or two. That might be the case. I don't know. I think those are all questions that are certainly for John Mozeliak and the front office. If you have the opportunity, if you're going to get anything back for anybody, I think you're listening to it, is my point. I said yesterday that I'm not even outside of still entertaining offers for Ryan Helsley, because I do think that you have the opportunity to get something back. And frankly, I do think you could fill that closer role. And whether it's closer by committee, I think that you could do enough if you have a chance to get something back. I don't know if they will. I know that they're going to try. They're going to try for whatever is going to improve this team and ultimately is going to get you value for the pieces you have. This one says, big question is why Sonny Gray did not make the All-Star team. That's a good question. Obviously not one that I can answer. However, I would say that might still be the case. You see every year where guys get scratched. Guys don't want to start. Guys don't want to pitch. They want to have the All-Star break off, or they're pitching right before the All-Star game. Sonny Gray coming in right now is 8-3 with a 3.5 ERA. I really thought that he was an option. I thought Brendan Donovan was going to get an all-star bid, and I thought perhaps Sonny Gray. So good question. That is Neilio, I believe, that asked that. No, I'm sorry. Justin Hutchins asked that. Neilio said, no chance that Fetty gets you any sort of prospects. Neilio also asks, overall thoughts on what we saw out of the Cubs this weekend. Yeah, and I do see them able to measure up to, I think they are one of the elite clubs in baseball. I don't think there's any question that the Cubs are one of the elite clubs in baseball for just the reasons that I just detailed. When you look at this lineup and you look at what they're able to put out there on a daily basis, it is markedly better than certainly what the Cardinals are putting out there. It's markedly better than a lot of teams in baseball. If you look at just overall National League leaders, like what the records are, those kind of things, the Cubs are among the best in all of them. And it's slugging and its power specifically where they have really excelled. They're 2 games from the Dodgers for having the best record in the National League, and they're 3 games from the Tigers for having the best record in all of baseball. So absolutely, I think they are one of the elites. And I think that when you look at, I think when the Cardinals are at their very best, they can play with the Cubs. The difference in the two are the Cubs can do it consistently, where the Cardinals might have it happen a couple of times. I don't think that's really any surprise. I think that's kind of what we expected out of this team. I do think there's still a little bit of an overachieving element to this team compared to our expectations at the start of the season. But now that we have seen that, now that you have seen what the Cardinals can do when they are clicking on all cylinders, when they are playing their best baseball, and unfortunately, when Miles Mikolas and Eric Fetty aren't the starting pitchers, then I do think that now we expect a little bit more because we've seen what this team can do when they play as they can, I should say. Jeremy says Cubs have better pitchers and hitters. Yep, absolutely. And the inconsistency that we talked about. I think that's 2 big differences between the Cards and the Cubs. It's not just personnel. It is certainly the ability to do it on a more consistent basis. Tim is up next. Tim from the East Side calling in. You're on the Extra Innings Show.
Yeah, I think Herrera is going to help a ton when we get him back. At least Arenado's got a presence. I don't know how practical it is to pick up a big name at the trade deadline. Like you said, who do we have to trade? But maybe a left-handed reliever. And if you bring McGreevy up, put Matz in that starting pen. And if we could replace Matz, that would be maybe more practical than getting a superstar. But I think it'd help us out immensely because Mikolas and Fetty are just not getting the job done this year. Just don't hang up and listen to what you say.
Yeah, Tim, I think you're right on, and I appreciate the call. There's no question. And I fully admit I've never been a huge rah-rah Miles Mikolas. He's done some really good things for the Cardinals, but I thought the last couple of years, I thought he had kind of run his course. Now, I was pleasantly surprised this year through the main part, probably May is where he really kind of excelled. After, of course, that terrible start that he had in Boston, he really settled in and was pitching quite well for a while, but he's reverted and he's regressed back to kind of what we've seen the last couple of years from Miles Mikolas. And I think that's the bad part about it. And that's what, unfortunately, you can't sustain. He had a 6.58 ERA in 5 starts in the month of June. That followed up 5 starts in May where he had a 3.08 earned run average. So, yeah, I think that you've seen what you're going to see from Miles Mikolas, and you're essentially putting yourselves immediately behind the 8 ball recently anyway, when Eric Fetty and Miles Mikolas starts. And Eric Fetty was asked specifically, does it weigh on you when it's a rough first inning or a rough first couple of innings? Well, how do you think it weighs on the rest of the team when immediately 2 innings in, you're playing from behind? 3 innings in, you're down 8-0. So, and I think Oliver Marmol has asked the same thing. does that weigh on him? And he said, as much as you hope it doesn't, they're humans. And of course it is going to. So no question there. There has to be something. And I think you raise an interesting point, trying to replace Steven Matz in the bullpen. If you can replicate what he's done in the bullpen as a starter, that's the question. He's been really good in the bullpen. And this is the first time in a Cardinals uniform that we've seen any kind of consistency from him, because frankly, it's the first time in a Cardinals uniform that we've seen any long stretches of health from Steven Matz. So to have him healthy and to have him in this role that has been really good for him out of the bullpen, it gives me pause. I'd be a little hesitant to move him into the starting rotation. However, you do have to find something to replace those two, Eric Fetty and Miles Mikolas. And I would, as I said, I think McGreevy probably slots right into the Fetty spot. I don't know what you do with Mikolas, but as you said, it might be more realistic to try to find a reliever if you're moving Matz into the rotation. Let's get one more maybe here if we can before we get to a break. We'll continue the conversation here, but I think I got one more call perhaps coming in. A couple more comments. Neilio adds another. Fetty's within the bottom 10 of starting pitchers in all Major League Baseball. He is. You're exactly right. But you never know. I think sometimes, teams have either they feel like they can change a guy or they can fix a guy. I don't know. I'm not ruling anything out. Tim, let's get you, let's get Curtis in before the break. Curtis, you're up.
My question is about who did you get if you trade Eric Fetty? What will you get out of him?
Yeah, I don't know, and that's kind of what I was just addressing. The comment too said the kind of same thing. There's not many people that are going to take a flyer on Eric Fetty. The Cardinals obviously did last year, but this was a different Eric Fetty. John Rooney even talked about it on the broadcast that at this point last year, he was an absolute bright spot in the White Sox rotation. He's going the opposite direction now. So it's a good question. I don't have that answer. But again, I wouldn't rule anything out only because I know that certain organizations look at pitchers differently. They believe that they can, change pitchers for the positive. I think you look all the way back to when the Cardinals had Dave Duncan, they would oftentimes take guys that were sort of projects, right, and turn them into viable starters, if not, really good number 3 starters. They did that a lot. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that you just don't know what one organization believes or values or thinks, over another. Like I said, I think from the outside looking in, it's not been good. And so I don't know what you get. I don't know what happens there, but that remains to be seen. But I appreciate the call. I'm going to get to a break right now. We'll come back. We'll finish things up here on the Extra Innings Show. Tough one for the Redbirds tonight, 11-0 the final score. I'm Joe Pott. It's the Extra Innings Show. We're coming back on KMOX.
When you own a business, there's no shortage of bold moments. At VOS, we're here to help you meet those moments in stride. Whether it's reducing your exposure to check fraud, setting up direct deposit, or helping make credit card processing seamless, VOS is here for you, your employees, and your customers. Are you ready for a better banking experience? Then make the bold move and switch to VOS today. Visit bankwithvos.com. Member FDIC.
A powerful threat calls for a greater response.
When there's a battle, bring strength.
When there's a problem, seek answers.
When there is doubt, give hope.
Not tomorrow.
Not in a few years.
But right now.
Some battles must be faced together. Cancer fighters stand up to cancer every day. And you can be part of this battle too.
Visit standuptocancer.org/American Airlines to learn more.
Together, we can save lives.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey in studio with Gloria Liu, broker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and St. Louis's real estate expert. Gloria, while most agents make big promises, you're known for your upfront written guarantees.
My name is My Promise. While many agents promise you an unrealistic sales price just to get your business, I'll provide you with an upfront written guarantee stating if I cannot sell your home for 100% market value, I'll pay you the difference.
Gloria, that's what sets you apart from others and why I recommend you. Folks, why risk working with just any agent when you can work with the best? Gloria Liu guarantees your sale price upfront and in writing.
Absolutely. And if I don't, I will pay you the difference. The agent you choose in this changing market matters and could cost you or make you thousands.
Sell your home with certainty, confidence, and for 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Call 314-325-6888 or visit gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, inviting you to a weekend you won't forget. The 37th annual Lake of the Ozarks Shootout. Our shootout is the largest unsanctioned boat race in the country. It's free to attend, packed with family fun, and it's all happening right here in Missouri. Join me and thousands of visitors from across the country for a weekend of racing and Missouri hospitality at its finest. I'll see you at the lake.
Sponsored by the Lieutenant Governor of Missouri.
There's a big red barn where you say free. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Sponsored with the 2-1 pitch. There's a high fly ball deep center field. That's way back to the track and out of here. Suzuki with his 25th home run of the year. 11-0 Cubs.
I'd say that was a backbreaker, but I think the Cardinals' back was probably broken before that. That was a tough one, though. That made it 11-0 Cubs. We're back on the Extra Innings Show. It's presented by Graybar. Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. I'm Joe Pott as we wrap things up here on the 11-0 win by the Cubs tonight. Verlis adds that Cleveland just DFA'd Colby Allard, and he could see them swapping them for Fetty. That'd be interesting. I hadn't seen that. We confirmed that in the break, but he's a guy in 16 appearances, has a 2.5 ERA. He's a left-hander, so that might be the situation that one of our other commenters was talking about, where you put that, you could have Allard in the bullpen, you could have Matz in the starting rotation. You have McGreevy in the starting rotation. So interesting, something certainly to think about. And I think this team has a lot to think about. Off days too, coming off a road trip like this is a lot of times where there might be some movement. Maybe you'll see, somebody promoted, somebody moved out. If that's the case, if they're ready to do something like that, it could happen, at a time like this. You're just before the All-Star break. So wouldn't be shocked if something like that happens over the next week or so. And we'll let you know what's on deck. It's brought to you by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best, chesterfieldfence.com. 3-game series with the Nationals opens up on Tuesday. Monday's an off day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are both, all three, I should say, 6:45 games at Busch Stadium. That means Ameren Total Access at 5:50 for all 3 games. Andre Palante, Sonny Gray, and for now, Miles Michaelis is your rotation for the Redbirds in that series. Jake Irvin, Mackenzie Gore, and Michael Soroka will pitch for the Nationals. And again, if you're just joining us or if you haven't heard, Davey Martinez, the Nationals manager, and Mike Rizzo, the Nationals GM, both let go earlier today. We got that actually got that during the rain delay today, news of those firings. Appreciate you taking the time to call, to comment, all of the interaction we had today. Really appreciate it. Tough weekend for the Redbirds other than yesterday's fun one. Tough road trip. Tough way to end the road trip. It's not necessarily that a 4-5 road trip is disastrous, but when you started off the way they did with this 3-game sweep in Cleveland, certainly feels a lot worse. So here's to better times for the Redbirds. They've got the last place teams, 2 of them in the National League East, coming into Busch Stadium. They've played well at Busch, and hopefully they can use that to take advantage of some of those of 2 teams that seem to be scuffling at the moment in the Nationals and the Braves. Matt Pauley will have you covered all week long as the Cardinals come back home to Busch Stadium. Big thanks to John Rooney, to Rick Horton, to Mike Claiborne, to Ryan Schulte up in Chicago. Thanks to John Camp on the other side of the board here, keeping us in line and on time all evening long. And again, my thanks to all of you for the interaction tonight. I'm Joe Pott. Keep it right here on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
They are a Hall of Fame company, MVP talent. That would be